It started like any other morning, but then something unexpected happened. A single post sent shockwaves around the globe. Donald Trump just threatened to impose a staggering 100% tariff on all Chinese imports. There were no leaks, no warnings, just a bold declaration that demanded attention. Almost instantly, the markets went into a frenzy. Stocks dipped, the Chinese yuan tumbled, and global investors froze, all asking the same thing. Wait, is this really happening again? You might remember the last time Trump ignited a trade war. The world economy was left reeling. Factories shut down, markets crashed, and billions evaporated overnight. But here's the catch. This time feels different. It's not 2018 anymore. The stakes are higher, inflation is biting, and supply chains are stretched to their limits. And Trump? This isn't just about policy, he's playing a political game. In this episode of What If series, we're digging deep into the heart of Trump's latest economic shakeup. Why did he drop this bombshell now? What lies ahead for China, for America, and for the global economy? And most importantly, how close are we to a full-blown trade war that could reshuffle the world order as we know it? Buckle up, because by the end of this video, you'll realize this isn't just another headline. It's a watershed moment in how nations compete, economies function, and maybe even how power dynamics shift globally. So, what's behind this sudden plunge into tariff warfare? It's more than just political theatrics. It's a reaction to something deeper. Recently, China implemented export restrictions on rare earth minerals and high-tech components, key materials for semiconductors, defense, and renewable energy. This took many by surprise. Trump labeled it shocking and hostile, accusing Beijing of weaponizing supply chains. The timing here is strategic. This isn't merely about trade deficits or unfair practices. It's about power. By threatening a 100% tariff, Trump shifts from negotiation to coercion. He aims to force China's hand, reclaim dominance in vital industries, and send a clear message: depending on China is a vulnerability. This move also fits into a broader political narrative. Domestically, it resonates with those worried about deindustrialization and America's economic leadership. Internationally, it signals a tough stance. So this leap is both tactical and symbolic, driven by perceived aggression, domestic pressures, and the notion that boldness might just make China blink. If this tariff hits, the consequences will be swift and brutal. Imagine this: every iPhone, laptop, washing machine, and toy made in China suddenly costs double. Yes, that's what a 100% tariff means. American consumers could see prices skyrocket overnight, while manufacturers watch their supply chains twist into chaos. A single tariff doesn't just impact trade, it sends ripples through every corner of the global economy. Factories in China might slow down. Distributors in countries like Vietnam or Malaysia could scramble to sort out their supply routes. And American retailers would be bracing for shortages and frustrated customers. And what about Wall Street? It hates uncertainty more than it hates bad news. When tariffs rise, investor confidence plummets, stocks tumble, and the dollar wobbles as global investors flee to safety. Think gold, bonds, and even cryptocurrencies. But the implications go beyond just economics. This move is a power play, sending a clear signal globally that America is ready to weaponize trade to maintain its edge. The message is crystal clear. If you rely on us, follow our lead. If you're leaning on China, reconsider. Some analysts are even dubbing this a global economic Cold War. Instead of troops, we'll see tariffs, technology, and supply chains shaping the battlefield. This brings us to a more crucial question. How does China might retaliate? Don't misinterpret their silence as acceptance. Beijing's strategy is known for being patient and calculated. First off, they could introduce retaliatory tariffs, hitting American exports like agriculture, energy, and luxury goods, directly targeting Trump's political base. But that's just the surface. China doesn't have to mirror Trump's moves. It can focus on the weak spots. They might delay import permits for American companies, block access to government contracts, or pressure state-owned firms to halt purchases of U.S. goods. Or they could go after something the U.S. desperately needs: technology and minerals. Restricting the export of lithium, cobalt, or rare earths could cripple the U.S. clean energy and semiconductor industries. A far more powerful weapon than just tariffs. And let's not overlook something critical. China holds nearly $800 billion in U.S. Treasury debt. Even a symbolic sell-off of those assets could shake up global bond markets and hike U.S. borrowing costs. So no, China is not going to sit idly by. They'll choose their response carefully, knowing that overreaction could hinder their own growth. But make no mistake, they have numerous options to push back and make their impact felt. So, what will happen to the global economy? When the two biggest economies go head-to-head, the impact doesn't just rattle a few cages. It sends shockwaves across the globe. This isn't merely a US-China issue anymore. It's a worldwide domino effect. Think about it. Tariffs don't just stop at the border, they ripple outward. Factories in Southeast Asia that supply parts to China start feeling the pinch as orders dwindle. European exporters are faced with soaring costs. We see oil and shipping prices spike as supply routes shift. Before you know it, everyone around the globe is paying more for the same stuff. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, warns that if the tariff war escalates, we could be looking at a staggering loss of over $1 trillion in global trade, and a slowdown in global growth by more than a full percentage point. Now, don't let those numbers just float around in your head. What does that really mean? It translates to job losses, shredded pensions, pricier groceries, and stress on mortgages. If this continues to escalate, we could see global inflation surge again, forcing central banks back into crisis mode. The markets would go wild. Currencies would swing like a pendulum, and nations reliant on exports, from South Korea to Germany, would find themselves caught in the middle, having to choose sides. This isn't just about trade anymore. It's a battle for which economic system will dominate the world and which one will collapse under pressure. Now let's zoom out a bit. At its heart, this situation isn't really about tariffs at all. It's a matter of who gets to call the shots on the global stage. For decades now, China's rapid rise has thrown down the gauntlet to America's long-held supremacy in manufacturing, technology, and influence. Trump's recent moves might just be the first definitive step toward economic decoupling. And we could be seeing two distinct worlds form in parallel, one orbiting around Washington, D.C., and the other around Beijing. We're talking different payment systems, different tech standards, and entirely separate trade alliances. If this becomes the norm, globalization as we've come to know it could shatter permanently, leading to what some are already dubbing a bipolar economy. We could have two superpowers, two ecosystems, both vying for control of the 21st century. And that bold idea of a 100% tariff, it could be the first domino to fall in that chain reaction. So what does all this mean for you? Well, it means that the world we shop in, invest in, and live in is shifting faster than we ever anticipated. When Trump threatens a 100% tariff on China, it's not just a matter of trade anymore. He's shaking the very foundations of the global economy. If history is any guide, trade wars rarely end where they start. They escalate, they spread, and guess what? Everyone ends up paying the price. But there's still a burning question to ponder. Is this the jolt the world needs to rethink its dependency on China? Or will it be the spark that ignites another global recession? In the upcoming weeks, the answer will unfold, in markets, in diplomacy, and maybe even in your next grocery bill. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, as you don't want to miss the next What If episode. Because when history starts unfolding this quickly, trust me, you don't want to miss a thing. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and as always, keep your brain fueled.